Now wait to be money. 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 Oh. Man no be something I say man are not in my way no care Jesus so he has the man are not in my way no care Jesus so he has the man are not in oh. Man now wait till you me say you day now waiting where you day man now wait till you me say you day now waiting where you day oh. I want to tell you something I say man are not in my way no care Jesus so he has the man are not in my way no care Jesus so he has the man there for suffer.
Lord Jesus Christ. Princess Felicia.
Change my story, Jehovah. Change my story. Change my story, Jehovah. Change my story. Change my story, Daddy. Oh, I am in your presence. Change my story, Jehovah. Change I am in your presence. Change my story, Jehovah. Change I am in your presence. Change my story, Jehovah. Change I am in your presence. Change my story, Jehovah. Change I am in your presence. Change Lion of Judah. Change I am in your presence. Change my story, Jehovah.
So people, good day and hope everyone is doing very well. We have some amazing things to talk about today. We're gonna be talking about some of the things which we'll be talking. We're gonna be talking about regulation of diaspora and home-based artist relationship and talking about consumption of 237 gospel contents worldwide as well. We'll be talking about relationship between gospel artist and Sonacam. Sonacam, if you don't know, it's gonna be explained to you all. So with me today, I have in the studio Mr. Godwin Kwasi, founder of ACM. ACM is Association of Cameroonian Musicians based in Cameroon. And we also have Minister Pandi Nja with us today. So so it's gonna be amazing. We're gonna be sharing across some of these things and as well talking on more other things on better ways to see how these things can be regulated and as well promoted. So please, while joining, do share. It's time for knowledge and it's time to acquire as much knowledge as you can. So let's take the video. After the video, then we're gonna be coming back to start out with our guests.
No other name so sweet, no other name so sweet, the name of Jesus satisfies my soul. No other name so sweet, no other name so sweet, the name of Jesus satisfies my soul.
For salvation is found in no one else, for there is no other name that has been given under the heaven unto mankind by which we should be saved. But the name of Jesus, the name of Jesus, Name above all names, name above all, the name of Jesus. It satisfies my soul. Oh yeah.
So, as I was saying, we have amazing guests today. So, first on our guest today, we have Mr. Godwin Kwasi. So, I'm gonna be bringing him on the screen so for us to learn a little about him, and So, welcome, sir. Thanks for joining in from Cameroon. And how are you doing, sir?
Thank you very much. I'm doing great. I'm happy to be on the program this evening, and I'm really just glad to be there.
Amen. Thank you so much for coming to. We want to learn just a little about you. So, what about telling us who is Mr. Godwin Kwasi?
Uh, I'm a musician. I minister in songs. I prepare songs. I have them recorded. I have albums. Um, I want to say a little bit. I have albums, maybe 1991, the first album, 2001, the second one, and then on the third one, I think I have some experience there as an artist. And I also run a music school, Pilgrim College of Music, and a recording studio where musicians graduate from the school, have them recorded and given out. And also, uh, I'm the founder for Association of Christian Musicians, ACM Cameroon, where we have the musicians come together and unite their efforts as one body so that they can handle the difficulties in Christian music like one man. And that is what I do with respect to music. And I'm also a member of the commission for online music programs and for the repetition for Sonakam. Uh, I think I have a lot to share with our brethren in this program this day.
Wow, wow. It means, you're a gospel artist, 1991. Wow, that's a whole new level. That's a whole new level. I mean, there's just a whole lot of experience you have, and we're happy to have you on that. No, now I saw the connection which you did. You first of all, you had you're a gospel artist. You have a music school. From that,
Yeah,
you connect the music school to a studio.
recording.
From a studio now, you connecting that to having a community. Being part and parcel of the community, ACM. So let's get to the point of ACM. Some people might not know about ACM, especially for those who are in Cameroon. So, what's ACM? What does ACM stand for? What does ACM do for the people?
The Association of Christian Musicians, ACM Cameroon, is born out of a vision that focuses on working towards having a solution to the challenges the Christian musicians have. It was born out of some challenges that were faced in 2009, where we observed that the Christian musicians, there are challenges where the those who distribute who sell CDs around would want to buy our CDs for 200 francs and sell for 500 francs. So we had a lot of challenges in the area of financial handicap, challenges in the area of marketing. Production studios were very costly, and many were not available in Cameroon sometimes. So there were a lot of challenges, and the Lord had actually uh, put in my mind and impressed upon me this need to work towards having the Christian musicians under one umbrella to face the challenges. And so when that came up and the question was who bear the card, of course, it was impressed upon me that since it's along my line of vision, I had to stand in, and the association was registered in 2010 to function in all the 10 regions of Cameroon. And from 2010 to the present moment, you can see that it's about 10, 11 years. And we had to take the approach from grassroots up. So we had to mobilize in Bamenda. In each of the regions, we tried to mobilize the musicians and to see how we could set up an executive there. We did it in Bamenda, in Bafoussam, in Douala, here in the southwest, in Mutengene, and in Yaoundé, about in 8 regions. And so it is now that we are trying to pull from the base to now focus at the national level, and that is where we are coming up now. So we have quite a lot of we have some success story there. We mobilize. We see the need to also fellowship with one another to strengthen ourselves as one body, functioning as one man. And so our activities include fellowship. Fellowship we once in every zone, and monthly. So we are actually fellowshipping. We put efforts because we have challenges in production. We put efforts to see how we can discuss and handle some of them. Those who are producers in the association, we see how they can be of help. We we just still working to see, and we also have, sometimes we want to have a general assembly where we come together and we can talk the things. And so far we also impact our community. We have done some albums to be able to reach out. We have had concerts to mobilize funds for orphans in our community. We have had to be able to do some albums to educate the people some issues around those around us in the community. And we are putting efforts to see how we can have more of our members know about it, more of the Christian musicians know about it in Cameroon, so that we can actually work hand in hand, because we make more progress when we are together as one man. It's even because of the efforts we are making together that I found myself in the Sonakam leadership, based on the body that we are building, and the strength that we pull from the unity that we experience. So for now, that's all. I may be able to talk more later. I keep on if we have more time, but for time, let's go ahead.
Wow, that's impressive. That's so impressive. So now let's get to, I mean, we've talked about Sonakam and some stuff and all Asian. So regards to the talk which we have today, which is you talking about relationship between gospel artists and Sonaka. So it's something that people really get to know about it. But first, we want people to be able to know how to connect with ACM. So, but before we do that, let's get to introduce our second guest, Minister Pandita Joe, all the way from USA, who is here with us. So, welcome, Ma, and we're happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's always a pleasure and an honor to be here, you know.
So, how are you doing today, Ma? How is everything, and how is the state? I mean, your birthday today or yesterday, I guess.
Oh. No, I'm doing good. And we celebrated 4th of July yesterday. That's Independence Day for the United States. So, yeah.
Wow, so impressive. We're happy to have you here. We
Thank
know
you.
you're gonna be talking on regulation of diaspora and home-based artist relationship. So we're gonna be looking at this too, how a better way can be. I mean, better way forward can come out from this. Um, so tell us who is Minister Pan. Tell us who is Minister Pandajo.
Okay. So my name is Pantitanjo, and I am a US based Cameroonian gospel artist. I have been doing music for somewhere over 9 years now. I hail from the southwest region in Mafe. Grew up in Yaoundé before relocating to the United States with my family. I'm
Great.
married to the most amazing man, Mr. Ikun, and we are blessed with a daughter. So
Oh wow, that's incredible. See, let me just play one song. You guys maybe don't know her. Let me just. She's the owner of this song. Oh, okay. I mean, that was just a tip. That was no other name, so you can go check it out. So, thank you all for coming through. It's an amazing time here with us, and this is one on one with two with gospel community, which we're gonna be having amazing, um, shows as. I mean, we're starting today, like one on one with two gospel community, say program which will just launch it by the grace of God, and you guys are the first to be on this live session today, and we're starting up. So,
We are
yeah,
privileged.
yeah, we are starting up with this, and hopefully, every Mondays we're gonna be having such a show to be able to not just talk, but be able to see on how actions can be made because 237 Gospel Community is here and ACM is here, and we're working in collaboration to see that it works. As well, Minister Panida is also there working in 237 Gospel Community and in Kaga. Come on, we got to just that form. So actually, we have already three platforms are here already. We have Kaga, we have ACM because Minister Panida also is working more with Kaga as well, and both in 237 Gospel Community, and we have Mr. Kwasi there from ACM. So it's amazing that the gospel is coming together to form that unifying bond, and this is what must be encouraged. So kudos to what you're doing. Just the many things you're doing. Pray for more strength. So we're gonna be going back to the aspect of I mean, we have a first. I don't know if we should start with regulation. Okay, we should start with regulation of diaspora, and then we're just gonna be switching up. So, Minister Pandida, before we do that, okay, Sheikh Godwin, can you tell us how people can get to belong to ACM, and what's the prospect of them belonging to ACM?
From the name, the Association of Christian Musicians, ACM Cameroon, we expect that musicians who are Christians, we want to differentiate from a musician who is just doing gospel and who is not a Christian. We know when you are a Christian and you are a musician, we have a form to fill out to get our database enriched, where we'll get to have you complete the information and you, you register with us, and we normally do that in the various towns. Each town constitutes a zone, so we expect that all the musicians in Yaoundé, for example, will have to get in touch with the coordinators there and get registered, and that's how we join the network. And we register, we pull ourselves together. All the regions now link up to get the national network.
So,
Uh,
by that, are you saying that there are structures put in place? For example, if
yeah,
somebody is in Yaoundé, how does this person know that he or she can get to ACM? For example, do you have a Facebook page, a website, or maybe an Instagram page so that people can be able to reach out to ACM and maybe get registered? Or how is the registration done?
we have a Facebook page, and but we'll try to make available the contact number, the contact. We have a Ciprano who is coordinating in Yaoundé, and each of the towns has a coordinator. But I think it's easy to get to us on our Facebook page. We'll put efforts to also uh, have a website so that we can always refer people to it. And from our Facebook page, get our contact, and then you can get enrolled. We want to put efforts to move ahead. At the moment, the way I'm talking, it might seem very challenging for those who are really just getting it for the first time. But if they get to our Facebook page, ACM Cameroon can be able to connect. And get registered.
Okay, that's the name for those who don't know ACM Cameroon, Association of Christian Musician Cameroon. So there's a question: do you need to be in Cameroon to register for ACM?
Well, for a start, when we started, we just thought about Cameroon. We have had a number of brethren work with us from US, but because most of our activities at the moment were concentrated around Cameroon, suddenly we found that they were not very excited. I think probably we're going somewhere. And now I see that the work we're doing with 237 Gospel Community is an indication that we are all building a universal network. Since we're connecting with members out there, we can always operate together. But for now, those who are in direct contact with us have been those within the country, Cameroon.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, further to this question, so I guess ACM we did 227 Gospel Community merged with collaborating with ACM on working so into a partnership in which I mean 227 Gospel Community and ACM Cameroon are working together. So any of them, whether you're abroad or Cameroon on any part of the world, if you find yourself in any of these platforms, you benefit from both platforms that what they offer. I mean, based on the policies they have put in place, but some of the strategies cannot be explained here unless you become a member. You know, we need to reserve that for the members, for the ACM structure and as well the 227 Gospel Community. But 227 Gospel Community and ACM are in partnership now as we're speaking, and they're already working to ensure that such a partnership is achievable or maybe see success. So that's another one thing. So if you are abroad, you are part of this 227 Gospel Community, you can easily connect to ACM. As well, if you're in Cameroon, you're part of ACM, you can easily connect to Sam Gospel Community. That's the possibility we've made as well. And more things will be coming up and as well projects. So thank you, sir, for explaining that. Also further to that, I mean, we're gonna be also putting up ACM and how to get to ACM. I mean, how to contact them, and on the 227 Gospel Facebook page, this page, and as well, we're gonna be putting that up as well on the website www.227gospelcommunity.com. You will get to see that as well. We're gonna be putting that as well on how to get to ACM, um, how to connect them, to connect with them. We're gonna be putting that on the website. It's gonna be better explained. Yeah, we'll put all the structures on how you can connect with them, and that's just it. So the main goal is for us to create a unified structure, which is very essential. We being many are one body in Christ Jesus, and that's what Apostle Paul told us, and it's something we must be able to. There is a need to work together. The goal of the gospel to move forward is collectiveness, and collectiveness we should encourage. So thank you, sir. We're gonna be going to our first question of the day, and we're gonna be having you back. Of course, just prepare because we'll ask you so many questions about Sonaka. People need to learn
We are
about
ready.
Sonaka. They need to
I think
learn.
it's an opportunity for us to get some knowledge about what is going on, because it's actually just recently that we've explored so much. We've made a look into what Sonakam is all about. I think it's good time for us to share that knowledge.
Wow, interesting. So, people, any question you have, even I mean, maybe you might be the gospel artist. We had a session yesterday which we were talking about Umujami, and this session was great. This session we had it yesterday was so great, and it's something that we also working with ACM to make sure that every member also get to understand the marketing part, how to make money from their content and other stuff. We're also gonna be having meetings to see on better ways to collaborate with this media company. And More to talk about is that this media company is championed by Cameroonians who are based UK, US, some South Africa, and some in Cameroon. So this is a good step also ahead for us. We need to bring all of this structure together, having that knowledge that okay, we want to move forward. That is what is more interesting. And today we're having a session to talk about knowledge. We want to acquire knowledge. So let's get to the first question. I know how is the relationship between gospel ministers, both home and abroad? And it's something which need to be addressed, looking at the support coming from the diaspora and from the support coming from back home in Cameroon. How can this relationship be regulated? Because I can tell you, there are so many people who want to connect with those in the diaspora, and as well those in the diaspora want to connect with those in Cameroon. But how do we come to that point where it can be fully regulated and it benefit both party? So let's hear from Minister Panida Joe, and as she will be talking about that, and as well we're gonna get into the discourse.
Okay. If we take it from the perspective of, between the stakeholders, meaning the musicians, the artists, bloggers and things like that. So if I take it from that perspective, so there's stakeholders in the 237 gospel community, in the diaspora, and those back home. I think what we need to keep in mind first of all is love, and realize that what we are doing is kingdom work. When we keep that at the back of our minds, then we realize that there's a greater purpose to why we are doing what we are doing than self, than yourself, than your own personal ambitions. Um, so that alone gives you a greater idea and focus of why we are doing what we are doing. We need to that's why I'm so grateful for platforms like ACM or Kaga or 237 Gospel Community, especially, because then it's a bridge, basically. We have this one platform where all of us are part of. Then you easily have access to different people who are part of, the 237 Gospel Community. Then you easily can reach out, for different things, or you get to meet different people. And thank God for opportunities like this that I get to, you know, um, meet with the president of ACM. I think you just recently added us to that group and to that platform, and I've been, learning so much. I think the other day I was at work, but then I was listening to some of the voice notes that they had the meeting, talking about registering and Sonakam and things like that, which was very informative. So just platforms like that, we need to start by learning to belong, because a lot of people, and sometimes I don't blame us, because different things have come up that have not led to success. But we are grateful that we have platforms like ACM who have been going on for over a decade, and 237 Gospel Community, which is coming up really strong. Um, as platforms that have a vision, a strong vision, a strong goal, where we can all, like I said, communicate, work on different things, get to meet one another, platforms like this, and so forth. So I think that's just the beginning of, we need to start from that base, you know.
So you talk about stakeholders, and so what is the relationship between stakeholders and the aspect of strengthening the relationship between the both ends, like artists in the diaspora? And because we are not just looking at artists as well, we're looking at just content creators, and
Yeah.
we are very specific with the content creators, which is the
Mhm.
gospel content creators.
Right.
So how to stakeholders? The first thing is identification of stakeholders,
Mhm.
and the identification now go on the role of the stakeholders, and now
Yeah.
of course implementation of what they have to do. So what's that consciousness that these people, or maybe we start from the identification, their consciousness and what they have to do, and to be able to strengthen this relationship between this diaspora gospel content creators and as well home-based content creators.
So exactly. So when I talked about the stakeholders, right, I'm referring to, artists, I'm referring to producers, I'm referring to musicians, I'm referring to pastors, I'm referring to, leaders, I'm referring to bloggers, I'm referring to media houses and, everyone that is involved in creation of 237 gospel content, whether be it like music or be it movies or, just some everything 237 gospel. Um, so like I said, we need to first of all start by realizing that what we are doing is not about self, it's kingdom. When you have a mindset about kingdom, you stop thinking about, it prevents you from just thinking about yourself. It helps you to start thinking more of a global mindset. And that's why, Sergio was talking about, why he had the burden to come up with ACM, that is bringing people. He could have just sat down on his own and all the knowledge that he has about Sonakam and everything and keep it to himself. But he decided to create a platform like ACM, to come up with that platform such as ACM, where he can bring different people together to share that knowledge. So, we need to start thinking kingdom, that if one person is failing, if one person doesn't have the information needed to push this gospel forward, realizing that the body of Christ is falling short. If one person is falling short, the entire body is falling short. It's not just that person, but the entire body. So when we think that way, when we realize that we see one person falling short of something, doesn't have a knowledge of something, we all want to rush to the aid of that person because we know that, you know, the people that that person can reach, we might not be able to reach that same person. So we need to realize that the work is far greater than just us. It's far greater for one person alone to carry. So that alone should be one of our driving force. Love should be our driving force. Unity and kingdom mindset should be our driving force. Um, you're talking about some of the things that have kind of kept us away. That's why I was saying that, one of the things that have kept us away and that has created a disunity amongst us is because we were thinking that, you alone, you're thinking about self, you're thinking about wanting to be the only person to get the 1 million views and to get the 1 million subscribers and to make all the money, and all the fame, and all of that. But if you are thinking kingdom, that will change your mindset and your mentality, and you will seek to belong. You would seek, because that's one of the way. If you're standing on your own and you don't belong to a community, to a body, there are so many things you'll be missing out. There's some people that you'll not be able to reach, but when you're belonging to a body, um it's easy for you to meet people. It's easy for you to connect with people. It's because of belonging to 237 Gospel that I get to meet, the president here for ACM. It's because of belonging to the 237 Gospel community that that we have a connection, with you, Davini. So, you know, things like that. So we need to start thinking that way, and that should really help us. I hope that that gives a response. I mean, we'll be able to deep deeper into
We
the
need to
conversation.
deep. We need to deep. We really need to deep. Okay, yeah. What he said is good. Is good. I can say that what he said is good. We are talking on diaspora and home-based artists, or let's say content creators. Let me just remove that artist because
Yeah.
we are not just focusing on artists. We are
Mm-hmm.
focusing also on home-based as well. I mean, create content creators. So
Exactly.
now the aspect of what he said is based on the, I mean, structure. You have talked of stakeholders. It's very essential that there's a structure which is put in, and that is the structure which every party, whether based in Cameroon or abroad, need to be able to. They need to be an identified structure as what we are doing now. A structure that comes in and make herself like that identify herself that okay, we are this structure, we are standing for this, and we stand to regulate this, and this, and this. This is something which is very, very important because, for example, in 227 Gospel Community, one of the things which also inspire, which makes me happy is the aspect of the ambassadors. Now, for example, we have ambassadors who are like from different part of the world, from Europe, from US, and as well from Cameroon. Yeah, looking at this structure which has been set up, is better way for us to connect Cameroon, connect Europe, and connect USA in one spot. with this, there's a better way to do things. This is the way stakeholders need to also be reminded about and know how it is. So let's get to Mr. Kwasi. What do you think about what is the conception from the point of Cameroon, at the level of Cameroon, towards the relationship of from the um, diaspora? Do the Cameroonian mindset think that the diaspora is supporting them enough or not? Hello, Mr. Kwasi, can you hear me? Oh, so we have some network issues there.
Oh,
So, Minister Vanida, what can you say about this? Do you think that there is really that connection between Mr. Kwasi, Godwin, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
okay.
Yeah, I was trying to ask that what is the mindset of, from the Cameroon perspective or what they perceive? Do the Cameroonian mindset think that the diaspora is supporting them that enough?
Well, if I were to speak based on what I know and based on the information I can have around me, um, I think the people here at home, their mindset is that the people out there can support, but they are not they might not be very confident of how much or what extent. They generally have the impression that the people out there uh, could do very much. How much is very much is what we cannot say. So, but I know that they are so confident that the people out there who are in the Christian community uh, are very cooperative, and I'm afraid they might over expect because they've always thought that the people out there can do more. How much more is what what I can say, but I think what is good about it is that they are confident that gospel is gospel, and the brethren out there, they are brothers. We are brethren. We are working together, one mind, one spirit, one faith, one love, one baptism. With the Christian perspective is very strong when it comes to our brethren out there. When it comes to support, let's talk about funding, for example. There's that general impression that they can do more than what they do now. I don't know. That's what I see around them.
Okay, so this thing is two-way thing. What do you think? Do you think that the support from Cameroon to the diaspora is equitable to that which the diaspora is giving in now? For example, how many Cameroonians are ready to really support those who are in the diaspora based on what they do and all
Well,
of that?
what I understand is that many content creators here back at home, uh, when they want to talk about input or support, many look at one aspect. We have a lot of ways that support can be made. Uh-huh. Many people think that support could just be financial, and from that perspective, they would think that they might not have much to offer those out there. But there are many more things that we can offer. Take what we are doing now. The exchange of information to me is very vital, and it's very useful. I think it's a very big mutual support that we're giving each other from each end. So many of them may not see that they have something to offer, but I think we have much to offer to the other content creators, to our brethren out there in the diaspora.
Yeah, because this is something which need to be understood. Yeah, it need to be understood by both parties. People in the diaspora need support. I can tell you that, and everybody has a stronger point of which they can give support. It can be those abroad, for example. Let me in quote. Let me just put in quote. Let me not conclude. They can be of good financial support, but those in Cameroon can be able to connect these people who are abroad to the community which they want to target. Because at the end of the day, as a Cameroonian that is abroad, one way or the other, you would like to also want to connect and be able to impact your community in one way or the other, despite the fact that you're doing impact abroad. Because most of the times, those who are abroad, they are more recognized by having foreigners, those from different countries. Whereas their own people from their locality cannot, benefit from this. There are so many people abroad. I mean, when it comes to Cameroonians, there are so many, people from Cameroon who are abroad doing great things, bigger things. But most of the times, the people who will even benefit from most of these things these people are doing are foreigners. Because the people back home has not been able to understand the aspect of connecting to the people in the diaspora. So how do you think this can be regulated?
Well, I think having a, a united front, having to interact, having platforms like what we have now, 237 Gospel Community, and the community of the artists there in US, the character, whatever, I'm not very familiar with the name yet. And then ACM here, you see, we already have three platforms that as we work together, I see our brethren getting a lot of knowledge, and it's an opportunity to really connect. I think we are starting. We are somewhere as far as having to connect our brethren in the diaspora to the community home, and on either sides. To me, this is already a very big beginning for such platforms like this.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for that. Yeah, what we want to make clear is that we really want to understand the aspect of how the approaches should come from both ends, so that people understand it's better way to help each other. It's better way to help each other. I mean, the people in come help is can come in any form, but we really need to get to that form and not just put in on one form or the other. It's very important.
Yeah,
People both, yeah. Okay.
I also I also think sometimes we don't know. Somebody is here. He wants to be very helpful to the brethren out there in the diaspora, but he doesn't know what to do, and he only thinks about finance. Another person is out there, he wants to reach out here. So platforms like this, I see it's very useful in making us understand the need. For example, I personally, I see the need to have the brethren there connected to the community here so that they can impact them. But that's something that one might not have thought of if we didn't have a platform to discuss. So sometimes knowing the need is very important so that the people can be able to meet the needs. They can be able to reach out and relate better. There's a way that we can relate when we know we are making useful steps ahead. So I think this is good.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you, sir. What you said before I come to Minister Panita is, she said about stakeholders. Yeah, it's just that for that to be enhanced, it's just for the stakeholders to create more sensitization, or maybe continue on with what they're doing, because every human being, whether you are in Cameroon or not, they will want to see a platform which they can trust, a structure in which they can really trust before they get into that aspect. Because I can tell you, we have a whole lot to offer to each other, those who are abroad and those who are in Cameroon. There's just a whole lot which working together will make so much sense, so much sense, so much sense. So, Minister Fanida, let's get to you. You're trying to say something.
Okay, I know. I was just going to add on, all what you're saying. So, how can how in terms of support, through the mindset from diaspora, from the few people that I know when we talk and discuss on things like this, is that we don't receive enough help, from those back home. And when I talk to the people also back home, I also sense that they also feel that they don't receive enough help from us. And that's why I stress a lot on having belonging to a body, because when you belong to a body, then you are able to, like Mr. Godwin talked about, you then you know the need. When you belong to a body, you know the need, and then you guys can work on different things. Now let me come to an example. Let's say financial. Everybody needs money. Everyone needs money. Whether you're back home or you're here, we all need money. I think the notion is, oh, those who are in the diaspora have more money and things like that, which is might be the case sometimes, but not always the case. You know, let me say, I can give an example. Um, let me say I release a single, I release an album. Okay, I it would be my delight to know that someone from back home buys that album. I mean, one, you don't need to buy a lot, you can buy just one. Just one goes a long way. You buy one and then you share it with your social media, and social media, what do you say, that fans or something like that, those who are following your supporters. So social media, I prefer to use the word supporters than fans. Your social media supporters, you share it with them. Oh, I bought this album, and then you encourage them to go get the album. Then that alone, when one, two, three people, that's how it continues to push the work forward. Now, someone in the diaspora, let me say the one that is blessed, to be more financially, stable, can go ahead and say, okay, instead of just buying one for myself, I can go ahead and sponsor buying more than one and buy 10, for example. That goes a long way to support the person who is in Cameroon mainland. But I think that it's not the best of ideas for someone in Cameroon to sit and say, okay, you know what, you already have money, so I don't need to buy your single, I don't need to buy your album. That's a very wrong mentality to have. So so you can buy one. You don't need to buy 10, like someone from diaspora could do. Um, so and someone might not even have at all to say, okay, let me buy the album. It's $10, that's 5,000 francs. I might not right now have 5,000 francs to do that, but what I can do is I can go ahead and share. Maybe there's going to be some of my followers, some of my supporters who can actually purchase the song. So you go ahead and share. Or you might have links to, let's say, a gospel station or radio station, and then you go ahead and share those informations out. I think one of the things that we did in Paga, was that, like the president had reached out to me and said, if I could come up with a list of different blogs, that I use, both blogs or TV stations, direct video directors or stuff like that. So I came up with a list of, so those bloggers I've used. Actually, came up with a list. I had 237 gospel bloggers, 237 gospel secular bloggers. I had international secular bloggers and international gospel bloggers. So I had a list that I shared it with the platform. So now they knew some of those people that I've used. I even put some pricing of, some of the things that I have used and what worked and things like that. So people had some of those resources that I have used. So some of those things that people could do is, okay, I have this, this bloggers introduce, that's why when we have a platform, then, you don't have to message one artist at the time. Then you can just post it on that platform and say, these are some of the people I've used. If you want to get into CRTV, or if you're in the country and you want to get an interview in CRTV, let me know. I have so and so links. I can introduce you to them. Things like that. Some of us, from diaspora, we really need things like that when we come back home. People they have more connections with some of these TV and radio stations that we might not have. So you can introduce and share those knowledge with us. Um, one of the things that someone had posted online one time that really got me, and I was like, what, really? Someone posted and said, if you want to make it, if you want to be successful, you have to actually move to Cameroon and come and get some examples of a few other, let me say, some Nigerian artists who were outside of Nigeria but had to move back to Nigeria in order to be successful. And I was like, what? Why would you ever suggest that? I'm like, first of all, if you had the opportunity to go out of Cameroon, for example, and travel abroad, you will probably want to travel. So I would just say someone who has traveled to come back home in order to be successful. Um, you know, we can't have such mindset and limit people like that, because one person cannot do the work alone. You cannot be you cannot be, I say those who are in diaspora, US, Canada, Europe, we are the constant presence of the Cameroonian culture in that location. So if you want people to experience our culture, spread the gospel through the eyes of the Cameroonian, we are those constant presence in that area, influencing that area, with our culture. So I think it's not a good idea, for lack of a better word, not to use the word evil, for you to say the person should move back home in order to achieve some sort of success. But then again, if you for example, let me say I travel and come to Cameroon, I will need people in Cameroon to be able to show me different things. And if I want to do a program, for example, I need the artists that are back home to join me, to support me in order to do something successful. Okay, now if you want to come to you want to come to the United States, for example, and you don't even know anybody, at least now you know that I'm here. If you want to go to, let me say, you want to come to Texas, for example, or Dallas, I'm here in Dallas. You know that you can contact me. I have some supporters here in Dallas that I can introduce them to you. Let me say you want to host an event here, then I have supporters here that I can now say, okay, here is my friend from Cameroon. Want to come? Let's join him, support him in what he's trying to do here in Dallas, Texas. So that you should be grateful that I think that people should see that way, that, oh, okay, you know what? I have someone in Dallas. I have Davini who is here. I have this person who is in Europe. If I'm going there, I already know that I can count on their supporters to come and join me, supporting me in doing my work that I'm coming to do in that particular location. So we should use that in our advantage, creating those bonds and those links, rather than trying to use it as a means to separate each other, or use the fact that we are spread out throughout the entire world. Use that to our advantage, knowing that if you have me in Dallas, Texas, you already have connections in Dallas, Texas. You have someone in Europe, you have them. I have someone in Cameroon, I have connections in Cameroon because I have this person here. So we should, kind of use that to our advantage. That's one point I wanted to just add.
Great mindset. Mr. Quincy Bell from Germany say great mindset. This just it, the concept of collectiveness. Collectiveness is the key. It's very to be able to listen to each other. It's the key because everybody every day people come online talk this. Hey, this need to happen in Cameroon. People need to do this. People need to do that. Then I ask myself, how these persons ready to even work or even do what they're saying people should do? That's the first thing. You can't talk about collectiveness or maybe sharing people content or maybe talk of promotion when for you as minister or maybe content creators, you don't even engage in that. No, 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 no. Then you don't know what he's saying. You can't talk about love when you don't love. Yeah, God took in the nature of love first before He commands us to love. He did not command us before He start thinking of love. This is a concept. That is why the Cameroon is getting to that point where just moving wavy, wavy. Yeah, because we are not ready to be very active in doing what we're saying. So I mean, it's collectiveness at the end of the day. Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you for that for that except which you said about that. I mean, we have something. Collectivity is great. Is great means of expansion. Okay, this is it. So now we have been able to. What is the way forward? What is the way forward towards this? Let's hear from Mr. That one first. Then we'll come back to you. What is the way forward towards regulating this relationship and make it benefit both parties? What's the relationship, sir? What's the
I,
way forward, rather?
I think the way forward is for us to practice what
We preach.
we believe. We all believe in the gospel, and the gospel is very clear. And our sister there just discussed gospel in another perspective. You're out there in the US, consider that you are the hand, and I'm here, I'm the leg. Another person in Europe is the head, and then your ear. So you are in US and your leg is here, and your head is in Europe, and your ear is in Asia. That way, we will be one another's keeper. That way, if you are coming in Cameroon, you don't have a problem because part of you is here.
Yeah.
If there is anything going on, you are just fine because the body.
Yeah.
And so, if we practice what we believe about the body of Christ, and we start practicing it today, and we see the brother as part of us, part is another part of us, we will already be confident that we have everything that we need everywhere, and then we will make it better. We cannot make it, the hand cannot make it alone. The hand has to be connected to the rest of the body to be able to make it completely. And so, if I were to say a way forward, I would say the way forward is for us to consider ourselves as one body and function as one body. Then we would move forward from here. One will chase 1,000, two will chase 10,000. You go alone, you may go fast, but you don't go very far. You go with the rest of the team, you go very, very far.
Wow, you go alone, you go fast. But with people, you go far. Okay, that's deep. Minister Panita, thank you so much, sir. Thank you for that, what you said. One body, and that is what 227 Gospel stand for. Romans 12, verse 5. We being many are one body in Christ Jesus, the part of the body, understanding the concept of the body of Christ. If we understand it, the day I understood, I had a personal encounter about what the body of Christ is. Then I choose to be collective in nature. That's what people need to really encounter. We need to choose. It's something which should be a decision. Yeah, something that should be, because with a normal flesh, you will not want to. You will not really want to be there in need, indeed, in like spiritually for someone else, like in the concept of the body of Christ. But just having an encounter or choosing or surrendering to God to be able to really be there, like be that part that can be able to, be helpful to the next person. Let's hear to Minister uh, Panida. So, what is the way forward based on this? How can we make this situation more better? We're talking to, I guess, those who are watching from YouTube as well, from Facebook, from both Cameroon and in diaspora. So, what can we do for this to, to solve this issue? Or maybe, how do I call it, to start doing something about it?
Um, like you said, sometimes it's not easy for us to let go of our old ways and our old ideologies and mindsets. But it's only Christ that can make it possible for us. It's by His grace. You know, as our human flesh would want to keep things to ourselves, we want to be the one to go forward, we want to be the one to be seen and everything. But when we say God, we just need to always constantly pray and say, Father, help me to be like you in my thoughts and the way I do things, help me to die to myself. And when you die to self and when you are thinking more kingdom, love is becomes your second nature. Your love for your next person becomes your second nature, because all of this boils really down to love, and how we think about the next person and how we think about our colleague who is doing what we are doing. Um because when we love each other, then we see each other's success, as our success. That's really that's where we have to stem from. Everything has to come, it comes from the heart. you know um so we just need to pray that the Lord should prune us, and shape us to be really Christ-like in our thinking and in our nature. And when we start being like that, then things will begin to flow easy. We would learn to be connected. We will learn to be, your brother's keeper, and you would learn to share knowledge. You will learn to do, and doing so freely without any restrictions. So we just really need to pray that the Lord would shape us and shape our minds and shape our hearts. Um, So we need to start from there. It's a work from the inside out. What we are inside is how it's going to be demonstrated, outwardly. So let's start from there, and then we can go into things of belonging, like I said, to belonging to a body. When you belong to a community and you belong to a body, belong to an organization, um, then we can begin to be in one place, and it's easy to have access to knowing what the needs are, as Mr. Godwin earlier mentioned. Then we can begin to know what the needs are. We can begin to work together in solving some of those, meeting some of those needs and things like that. So people should, avoid saying, "Oh, I don't want to belong to an organization," because I hear a lot of that sometimes. But we really need to realize that we need each other, in order to take this gospel to the ends of the earth, to the next level. Pastor Joe once mentioned something. She said the power concentrates. We need to realize that we cannot do this, as one single person. We can't stress that enough. We really pray that this will begin to stick in our minds, as a people. We need to realize that we can't do the work alone. One person cannot be everywhere at the same time. If you had to go and travel from one country to the other every day, you're not able to do this work. Realize that we have to work together in order to do this work. So let's realize that together we can do so much more. So let that begin to stick in our minds, because sometimes we say this, we know that we hear this, but it has not sunk deeply in our hearts. It needs to really begin to sink deep, that you alone cannot do the work. You alone cannot do the work. Realize that we share the work, it becomes lighter, easier, and we can do so much more. We need to, it's about the kingdom. It's about the kingdom. It's about winning souls for Christ. It's not about you getting a Grammy and getting all of that. That's all vanity. The most important thing that we need to realize is that lives need to be changed. That people perishing who don't know the gospel. How can we get the gospel to the ends of the earth? You alone cannot be in one place. Think about how we can spread this work. Let that begin to sink in our minds.
Ah, ah. This was preaching and not talking. Okay. So thank you so much. Thank you. We're gonna be having this topic again. I tell
Yes,
you.
yes,
On
yes.
but we have talked a lot. We have talked a lot. The more, I mean, even if we talk in the next 50 years about this, if we things are not done, we are not going anywhere. Ted to said that's the main deal. That's the way forward to this. Yeah, those in the diaspora and those in Cameroon should know that the work is just about collectiveness. It's just the aspect of collectiveness. Nobody has it all. I mean, nobody. But be it in the diaspora, and don't think you're in the you're in Cameroon and those in the diaspora has cash. No, no, no. If someone really can send you cash from the diaspora, it means that person loves you.
The
That
sacrifice.
person, yeah, he
Sacrifice.
is
Yeah.
sacrificing a lot for you. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first thing to note. He's sacrificing a lot. Yeah, he's sacrificing not because he has to a lot excess in his bank account. No, just
No.
that sacrifice. Yeah, debt to serve is the main thing. Now let's get to the aspect of looking at HCM. We're gonna be coming back to you, Mr. Pandita. We're gonna be coming back to consumption because I want us to talk on consumption. Consumption is relative to this topic we just talked now. Minister Queen said, "Teamwork, putting others first, makes the work easy, and people and propels us into our fulfilled purpose, kingdom mindset." Okay. Thank you, Ma, for that. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Thank you for the contributions. It's amazing. It's amazingly good. Amazingly good. So, Shay, tell us about how to get on with Sunakam because people really don't know about what Sunakam on how Sunakam can be able to help them, so I will first let's hear on what is Sonacam and to the aspect of how Sonacam can aid. Then I'll get to talk about the questions of the security with Sonacam.
Well, thank you very much. SONACAM is an acronym from the French name Société Nationale Camerounaise de l'Art Musical. In English, is the Cameroon National Musical Art Corporation. And it is a corporation that has been put in place by the Cameroon government. The government has a duty to cater for every ministry. And the Ministry of Arts and Culture, music directly falls under the Ministry of Arts and Culture. And so the government put this corporation in place because the government considers that the musicians, those who are in musical art, for example, are rendering services to the population and to the Cameroonian community. And so they deserve to be catered for, they deserve their rights, they deserve dues. And the corporation is intended to cater for every musician, Christian, non-Christian, whatever. So far as it is musical art, the government oversees all of that. This corporation was intended to attend to all of them without exception. And just like the government has a cover over every organization in Cameroon, including the church. And so that is how it has coverage over every musical art in Cameroon, including Christian music. It's just the same kind of structure that is put in place. And the corporation is intended to receive payment from every place in Cameroon, every area where music is exploited, including the social media. And so the idea is that there is an amount that is to be paid by all of this into a certain account. And at the end of the day, that money is distributed to all the artists in Cameroon according to their categories, because the artists are categorized. They are categorized and placed in ranks from adherent to society, right up to society honorable. They have ranks. I just put it that way. And so when we want to look at the relationship that is expected to be between Sonakam and the Christian musicians, it is like the relationship between the government of Cameroon and the church in Cameroon. Just like the church cannot dissociate from the government in Cameroon, the church is based in Cameroon. The same way, it is not expected that the Christian musicians should dissociate from Sonakam or should function independent of it, because the rights that are supposed to be given to the musicians, the government has them through that corporation, and so it's supposed to get to all of them. The relationship that is expected to be is a relationship of assistance from Sonakam to the Christian musicians, whereby the rights and the royalties that are collected are paid to the Christian musicians. That is what is expected to be. And so if we want to come to the other side and ask the question, now, that's what is expected. Has it been that way, or how has it gone? What record can we give with respect to the implementation of what is expected to be? And why has it never been implemented that way if it has not been? And if it has been, what are the things that would facilitate it from being implemented? The first comment I will make is on the reason why a lot of Christian musicians have not benefited from the services of SOCAM and the royalties and the payments that are supposed to be made. Because our records show that in the past years, up to recently, very, very few Christian musicians, first of all, have registered, have identified themselves. Of course, Sonakam will only reach out to musicians if they know you are a musician. How do they know you are a musician? You need to identify yourself for them to be able to reach out to you and to be able to give you the royalties that you are expected to have. Before I even continue, I need to indicate that this is intended for Cameroonians, not just those living in Cameroon, because I realize, I see that we have a lot of Cameroonian Christian musicians in the diaspora, and they are all covered by this very Sonakam because it is intended to cover all the Cameroonian Christian musicians. It's supposed to cover all Cameroonian musicians, and at present, it covers the secular musicians, very popular names in the past. You have all of them there benefiting from it from time and up to now, and are continuing to it. We have to mention people like Manu Dibango. Manu Dibango had been a leader, one of the presidents of the board of administrators. Manu Dibango. You have a lot of popular names. Just mention. Just mention as you can. All of those Bendeka, all they live in France, but they are part of it. Those in the US are part of it. The day Yango spends most of the time. He has been in the diaspora, but he's here. He's part of it. So I want to proceed to try to give some little light on what we have experienced, how the relationship has been. The relationship has been observed to be one in which a lot of Christian musicians have not identified themselves, and so they cannot be reached. The second thing that has been observed in the past is that even the ones that have identified themselves, the documentation had not been properly handled, and so at the end of the day, the few, when they don't get their royalties, they get so discouraged about it. And another thing is a mindset that some of the Christian musicians had before. I think it should have been handled by now, where they had the impression that Sonakam is not a Christian corporation, but it's a government, and so they don't understand why they would want to be part of that corporation. I think that is just the same position that the church has in Cameroon. The church cannot say that it is not part of Cameroon. It's first of all part of Cameroon and should work in Cameroon to reach out. Otherwise, it's also expected for the Christian musicians to be part of Sonakam if they will have to make any influence. We are very convinced that there's more influence that the musicians can make to the secular musicians than any other person, because we speak the music language, is the same language. Music is music. And so you see that the relationship has not been the way it is supposed to be. First, because a lot of Christian musicians have not identified themselves as musicians in Cameroon, and so it has not gone the way it's supposed to go. Secondly, documentation had not been very, very properly done, and so a lot of them could not really benefit from the royalties that they're supposed to have. And another thing is that we observe that sometimes the relationship has not gone the way it's supposed to go because the leadership of Sonakam, they have the way they operate. They don't operate the way Christians operate. They operate. They look at. They look at. There's a lot of self. They want to achieve something. There is nothing wrong. They don't see anything wrong if they can have money that's supposed to be given to musicians, mismanaged and handled anywhere. And when they act in such a way, you end up seeing that they seem to have a difficulty in having to share out the money. And this is where the idea of one body comes in. Now, consider that there was a status for Christian musicians in Sonakam, for example. It will be very easy for the money to be put in departments. And of course, the Christian musician will not have a difficulty in distributing it. Our nature doesn't allow us to go that way, and so we would always have been. But now, in order to make impact within Sonakam, the Christian musicians can only make impact within Sonakam if they function as one body. Then they can make much impact. Functioning as an individual will not enable them make any impact. So that is how the relationship had been in the past. But recently, we seem to observe an improvement in the relationship between Sonakam and the gospel musicians in Cameroon. The improvement we have is that with our discussions on the ACM platform and other platforms within the country, we have observed that more of our members are having an understanding of what it takes, an understanding of the need to identify as a musician in Cameroon because of the benefits attached to it. And more are beginning to enroll, and we are beginning to make some progress because with the presence on account that is in place, it is because we are working as one body and interacting as ACM that at the end of the process, when setting up the present leadership, we observed that 4 of our members were into some various commissions within. We have myself and Matabe Fruitful in the Commission for Control of Programs, Online Music, and Repetition. And then we have Mary Mandy and Soprano. They are there in the commission that has to do with the welfare of musicians in Cameroon. And so with this, you see that we just started work in January. And behold, a lot of things that we found out about the way Sonakam functions. And we've seen that it is a very good thing for our members to be there. And it's one of our goals as ACM and leadership of ACM to ensure that we assist our members both here and in the diaspora as much as possible to see them also identified as Cameroonian musicians so that what is due should be able to reach them. Because at the end of the day, apart from, in addition to the fact that you spread the gospel, the music itself has to be sold, and the benefits that come around it are expected to go to the individual musicians. Maybe I should pause for questions. I can go on and on.
Wow, thank you so much, sir, for that. You have been able to explain that. I want to talk on the security. What is the security that is Sonakam can assure those who are getting registered with them? And secondly, what's the possibility of someone who is abroad and this person is not a Cameroonian by, let me say, nationality, but by birth is a Cameroonian? What is the feasibility of this person registering to Sonaka? And what are the procedures that are difficult for this person to?
Okay, I'll start from the registration of a Cameroonian who is not based in Cameroon. The procedure is same. It requires maybe the photocopy of the birth certificate to show that you're a Cameroonian. Like you said, somebody is born in Cameroon, that person already has a birth certificate, or probably then put the national identity card, or probably if it's a Cameroonian passport, and 2 passport size pictures, and we have 10,000 francs for membership registration, and then each of the song is submitted. Each of the song is submitted at 1,000 francs. So if you have at least 6 songs, that makes 16,000. And there's some forms to fill. And so somebody who is not on ground can make proper arrangement for the forms to be filled and submitted. I think it is possible because registration has been done for people who are not on seat. Just that we ensure that the individuals have their receipt to show that they've registered and to show that they have works that have been submitted to Sonakam office, and the person there's a time for the documents to be processed. You don't register today and expect to be paid today. There's a period for the documents to be processed, and as the work is exploited, it reaches a time where payment is made. And I must also comment that in the past, let's say 15 years ago, the payment I can say was really, really, really very encouraging. 94, I was part of this corporation, and I think I got really good money. But recently, after that, it died down. People were not having it, and we're not having it. But there's a program, there's a reason why they were not having it. It is expected that every area where music is exploited pays for it. And so there was a money that was being collected from corporate organizations like MTN, Orange, Brazaris, all radio stations, all discotheques, all nightclubs, all hotels, and so on. And when that was done, it was sufficient to pay the musicians reasonable amount, and also from online. But after some time, the leadership of Sonakam, they did not follow up for the payments to be made. So at the end, there was very little to share, and musicians were not very comfortable. But the present leadership are putting a machinery in place to start collecting those royalties back for the musicians. And even the discussion we had yesterday on this platform from Omojama, with marketing, it's all going around it. Say, so you see, it pulls all of that. When that goes online, it also pulls and attracts some royalties. So I think that with what is on ground, things are going to improve. And for this reason, we have been working and trying to encourage all the Christian musicians, both those here and those in the diaspora, to consider identifying themselves for those who are Cameroonians. The next question was, if somebody is not a Cameroonian but was born in Cameroon, I'm not very sure, but I think there's a text that defines clearly what position such a person takes. I'm thinking, I'm not very sure, but I think anybody who is born in Cameroon should carry the Cameroonian nationality, and such a person would also register.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for that. Really appreciate. No, Sonakam, it's something which I have so many questions toward it with regards to the security that Sonakam offers to people, because copyright is broad, it's very broad. And looking at, I've seen people who are registered to Sonakam, but when I go on YouTube, I see so many of their names on YouTube with different of their videos, and I ask if really does Sonak can follow up for all of these people who are registered with them, because then with copyright stuff, for example, if you do maybe share your song with maybe any copyright agency to YouTube, this copyright is able to be able to detect anybody who upload that same song on YouTube without your permission. So all of the people who have this problem issue of having duplication, maybe by imposters or maybe people who just want to do some crazy stuff, what is the place of Sonakam towards this? And because people need to be for sure be very secured when if they want
Yeah,
to
uh,
do this.
I was just waiting for you to finish the question so that I can throw some light on it, because I
Yeah.
also have a question within me. And I've answered part of it. Part of it is that recently, like I said, even what is supposed to be collected from discotheques and DJs all around has never been collected. What do you think about internet if they could not get what is around here? So for recently, what has been going on YouTube and the social media has not been tracked by Sonakam. They have not been able to collect all of those to hand over to the artist as is expected to be. And like I said, that is the reason why even in the past, the artists were not having to be able to distribute to the members. It has not been. You observed correctly, and every musician has observed correctly that that has not been tracked by Sonakam in the past years. And so the prospect we have is that the present leadership is putting efforts to start off to put something in place to be able to track that. And coincidentally, I'm in the commission that is supposed to work for programs on online music, and we're just talking about it. I would expect that in our next commission meetings as we meet, it's going to be a bone of contention to work out how the works of Cameroonian musicians can properly be tracked and harnessed from the the social media, YouTube, and all of those other. That strategy is what is lacking, but there's an effort to get to it because those to go right to the radios and to the hotels where music is exploited, they already have small teams that they've already deployed within the country, which means something is starting. And I expect that we should move on to the level of having to properly do that online.
Okay. I mean that's something which need to be addressed because that copyright is something which because one of the example which I can even put is Miley Sabeteke. She did release a song, her recent song, and immediately she released that song. I guess maybe she's registered with Sonaka. Immediately she released that song. Um, I saw the same song on another YouTube channel with maybe her name that they have put. Then I was just like, okay. So I had to text her behind and tell her what to do to be able to for the person for YouTube to bring the like the channel or the video down from the person's channel. Then I was just like asking myself, if this person is registered to this place that is main of copyright, this place needs to protect this person in that sort. But that's as you said, it's matter of time as the work continue. So regards that, to make it more, we're gonna be having more information about this so that we can be able to communicate the right information to the people, and as well to see how I mean the we can be able to maybe see on ACM also we try to see how we can the ACM page come needs to come up so that people can see, we can share on Tutu Gospel Community, people see the specificity on how to get to ACM, especially when you want to register. Because the fact that Tutu Gospel Community is collaborating with ACM, it does not mean that Tutu Gospel Community will get involved in the aspect of Sonakam registration. No. Yeah, we leave it to what ACM is doing, and that's just it. Yeah, so we only connect people. Anybody who wants to do ACM registration, we connect them to ACM. I mean, Sonakam registration, we connect them to Sonakam, and that will make the work better and more good. So thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you for
Okay.
that. So I don't know if you have anything to say again before we get to the other last question and we'll run off.
I think I'm done. We probably will move on to the next question, and probably we'll move on to the next question. I think we can proceed.
Okay. Okay, so now we have talked on a whole lot. We have talked on a whole lot of things, and let's just get to the aspect of the last talk we were to talk on is consumption of carbon products, and we are having Minister or David who's gonna come in, but I think maybe closer for today. But now let's talk on the roundup of today of all what you've said. We have been able to discuss the regulation of um, artists or content creators in the diaspora and in home mainland Cameroon to be able to see that we people need to get like they need to understand the concept of Romans 6 verse 11. We like we're dead to sin and alive in Christ Jesus. That's what I mean Stefanida was talking about. Dead to sin. We need to die to ourselves. Dead to sin. Dead to sin is just being that part where you kill that flesh and surrender and surrendering to Jesus Christ. So, because at the end of the day, whatever we do, if we don't do it for the gospel to expand, then we are wasting our time. Actually, we're wasting our time. So, what's the last talk on, just for those who have been watching us, where and a point of encouragement towards all the topic we have talked about today? So, what's the last talk today? Let's hear from Minister Panida, and they'll come from to Minister Godwin, and we go up to close up.
So I mean, if there's one thing I want to leave with us today, it's that we need to go back, to the sacred place, go back to our Father and say, Lord, um, take away every part of me that is not of you. That everything I do should be to give you glory. Like I said, if there's one thing we need to start from is from the inside. We need to start with our hearts. And so we need to go back and say, Father, help me and help my mindset to think like you. Help my mindset to think kingdom. So let's go back with that prayer topic in mind, because I think that we've become a little bit too comfortable in the way we are doing things. Um, and all the things that we want to achieve and all the things that we want to do. And we probably lost sight about what God really expects from us. Because when we get to um, when we are confident of what He wants us to be doing at every given time, things will be much better. Things will be much better. Things will go so much more smooth than they are going right now. So let's just go back and say, Father, help me, um, and help my mindset, help my heart. I need to start thinking about more of your kingdom more than myself and my glory. Let me start thinking about the kingdom and thinking about the souls and thinking about what I should be doing at every given point in time, so that I can love freely, I can do things freely, I can spread your word freely. And like I said, when we love each other the way Christ would want us to, the world would be so much of a better place. So let's start from the heart.
Okay, thank you so much, Minister. Let's hear from Mr. Godwin.
Well, I will take off from where Mr. Pandita just ended there by saying that when we start from the heart, we should try to go beyond. Start from the heart and go beyond. Having dealt with the heart, let's go beyond to
Yeah.
see ourselves with one goal. We will go beyond to look at the goal. We will see the football getting into the net as the goal. Our goal in Christianity is the expansion of the kingdom of God and for souls to be won into the kingdom. If that is the goal, we will understand that if we are the midfielder, another person is the scorer.
Yeah.
When somebody is scoring for all of us.
Yeah.
When the goalkeeper arrests the ball, it's for all of us. That way we will see whatever our brother does somewhere as us for our own good and for the main goal to be scored. And if we go beyond to look at this picture of a team and a single goal to score, division will be far away from us, strife will be far away from us. We'll see ourselves like one body. We'll be able to move fast. When somebody does a thing, we are blessed by it, we celebrate and we flow. And scripture says, by this will all men know we are your disciples, if we show love one for another, so that we can experience the love of Jesus Christ within us as we look at one goal, and we see ourselves as one team, and then the world will join us.
Wow, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for all what you've shared, and we just running up now, and I don't know, Pastor David join us, but I mean, Minister Panida will be leaving us as well. So we just, I think with the topic with Pastor David, we will take it the next. I will take in another session. So, but let's just introduce Pastor David to say hello. We're gonna have another session for him to talk again. So hello sir, welcome. Sorry we have to really cut, like we have been here for almost it's getting to 2 hours now. So we'll have the session again to talk about consumption of common products. We're gonna have maybe the next Monday to have something like this again to really talk on it very well, because we have been here for a whole lot of time. And so do you mind saying hello to the people or to others?
Hi, greetings everyone. I'm so sorry. I had an emergency to travel out and I'm out of I was out of network so I couldn't join. I'm so sorry about that. I'm doing a road trip. I'm approaching New Mexico. Yeah, so I'm so sorry about that. And I appreciate all the ministers for taking out their time to stand out and talk because I believe that little drops of water can make a river if you just let them to keep dropping. And I want to appreciate the host of the program for such an initiative, allowing God to use you. And I want to appreciate also everyone who is out there watching. I believe that God has begun something. He has begun a work. He said in the scripture that he would do a work in our days, that even if we were told, we will not believe it. I believe this is part of that work. It looks small, but believe you me, it's a seed. So just receive my greetings, everyone. I don't want to talk too much. Hi, Minister Pandita.
Hello,
And yeah, and
Mr.
also
Godwin Kwesi. Mr.
I
Godwin.
celebrate Minister Godwin too.
Godwin
I just
Kwasi.
joined while you were talking. I
Yes.
celebrate you so much, sir.
Yes.
And
So,
our host, I respect you, sir. More grace.
thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. We're gonna be having, I mean, maybe the next Monday. Next Monday we'll also be having a session here. So based on your schedule, we'll have a time so that we can expatiate very well on consumption of common products worldwide. Yeah. So we're gonna be talking on that very, very much. I mean, this is what we were to talk about from Minister or Pastor David. Because of that, we don't need to keep the people that much long. Yeah, so but thank everyone for coming. This was 237 Gospel. I mean, one-on-one with 237 Gospel Community. And we just started today by the grace of God, and it was a success. Glory to God. So thank everyone for making this a success, and we will come back again with this session, and of course, amazing topics to talk about next Monday. So stay tuned. And this was um one-on-one with Tutu Sam Gospel Community. Thank you all the ministers, and we're gonna be putting some of the stuff on the various platform. So you can check more on www.tutusamgospelcommunity.com. Check as well ACM. I've made mention of ACM. You can check that. We will be putting, I mean, the new stuff on our next session. So bye bye, bye bye, bye bye, bye bye.
Okay.
People need to
Bye.
leave. People need to leave. So thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you.
Thank you.
Now wait till be money. Now wait till be money. Now wait till be money. Now wait till be money.